Hi, everyone. It's Ed Hood, the principal here at Gurrie, and I'd like to welcome you and your seventh grade student to Gurrie. If you're a returning parent with a new student, welcome back. If you're brand new, welcome, and we look forward to getting to know you and, of course, your student over the next 2 years as they continue to move towards that high school experience. This year, we were unable to hold our normal in-person orientation. So I am recording this for you, for your information. I hope it answers questions and also will be informative to give you an idea of life here at Gurrie and hopefully, again, answer questions that you may have. It will be about 40 minutes. Normally, our orientation is about an hour. So if you want to watch it in chunks or whatever you need to do, please feel free to do that. But again, I hope that this is helpful and will provide some information that you may have questions about as you prepare for the 21-22 school year and middle school here in District 105. So I'm going to share my screen and show you our presentation as I continue to talk with you here. First of all, we are very excited to, again, welcome a new group of seventh graders coming from all 4 of our elementary buildings and coming to Gurrie for their final 2 years here in District 105. We have some important dates. Registration. Now, registration has taken place, and we had asked that families complete that by the end of May. If you haven't done that yet, it's okay. We'll get you registered. Just make sure that you call our office at the number listed here, and we will get the information that we need to you for registration. When I met with the students a few weeks ago, I shared these dates and times as well, but definitely wanted to share them with you. In August, we will have several days for students and you to come in and get their lockers, get their schedules, have a chance to walk around the building, which some of them have not had yet, and be able to just kind of get their feet on the ground, see where their classes will be, and so on. So the dates listed here: Thursday, August 12th from 10 to 12 p.m. or 4 to 6 p.m. It's just for seventh graders. And you can come in anytime during those windows of time, and you'll get your student schedule, locker. You can set up the locker, get things ready to go, walk around, check out where classes are, and so on. On Monday, August 16th, we have from 10 to 2 p.m. for just seventh grade again. And then on Wednesday, August 18th, we'll have both our seventh and eighth graders have time available for them to come in and do that between 4 and 6. And then, of course, Wednesday, August 25th is the first day of school. If you can't make those dates because possibly you're on vacation or there's other commitments, just please send me an email or call the office, and we'll set up a time for you and your student to be able to do that. At a time that's convenient for you after August 12th. So also know that if at any time you want to come in over the summer, feel free to contact us as well, and we'll arrange a time. Just know that the schedules or lockers may not be available at that point for students. But this is something that we started a few years ago. We really find it valuable. The kids can come in, get comfortable, see where things are at and so on. And especially this year when they weren't able to come over in their orientation groups, this will be a great opportunity for them to do that in August. At Gurrie, when I met with the kids in their 6th grade classes a few weeks ago, one of the things I stress with them is that at Gurrie, we find there are 4 values that are key and so important to our success and their success as students and members of the Gurrie community. So we talk about them a lot, and I always like to share those with parents as well. And those 4 values that form the foundation of what we do here is, number 1, the right to mutual respect. All of us, adults, students, student to student, adult to student, and students to adults, and so on, we all have the right to mutual respect. And, again, we're in a building every day with hundreds of people, and we have to be able to treat each other respectfully. And we need to make sure that we do that in a positive way. So we talked a lot about that. We talked about the fact that, they have a job, and that's to learn and to grow and continue to prepare for high school. And teachers have a job as well, and that's to teach them and to make sure that they're getting everything that they can from them in order to continue to prepare and grow and achieve. And our behaviors can't take away from either the right of the teacher to teach or the right of the student to learn. And so we have to be mindful of that at all times. We also talked about the value of individual dignity and privacy, and that kind of goes really hand in hand with that mutual respect piece. And then finally, we know, and I'm sure you know, and the students know, that if they don't feel safe and secure, they're not going to be able to learn as well or as completely or as thoroughly as they can if they do feel safe and secure. And we work hard every day from day one to the very last day of school each year to ensure that we have a safe and secure environment for learning. Kids feel comfortable coming here, and they feel that it's a place that they want to be and enjoy being at. So those 4 values are something I just always like to review those with you as parents as well, because we do talk about that with students when we meet in orientation. Also like to share, coming into middle school, it's a very interesting time in a person's development. And, one of the things that we focus on with kids as well here is, how do children succeed? How do kids succeed as they continue on into middle school and beyond? And so you'll hear us and you'll see things throughout the year revolving around optimism, self-control, perseverance, stick-to-itiveness. Those are the kinds of things that we really want to reinforce with kids throughout the year. And I think, the past year and a half, kids have really had to demonstrate that perseverance and that stick-to-itiveness, or grit, if you want to call it that, self-control and being positive and optimistic about the future. And so those are things that we'll focus on with them in our classes and advisory and just in building relationships with them. And ultimately, the notion that it's a combination of working hard, putting forth your best effort, and that you will make mistakes and that things will not always go as planned, and that we have to be mindful of that, and that we also have to understand that that's okay. That there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be times when we don't, do as well as we would have liked to. But the flip side of that is that we're going to work really hard to develop habits and skills or build on those that already exist, so that all of our students understand that we will learn from those mistakes, we'll grow, we'll reflect, we'll set new goals, we'll challenge ourselves, and we'll keep working towards those ultimate goals that we have set for ourselves, in our studies, in our behavior, in our social emotional growth, and so on. Everyone always asks about a typical day at Gurrie. So what's it going to look like? One of the things that kids understand right away is that it's going to be a little longer day. So it'll be an 8:15 to 3:15 day, for them each and every day here at Gurrie. We will be in a block schedule next year. We had wanted to begin it this past school year, but we're unable to based on the pandemic and just all the changes that happened. So we are moving to a block schedule that we've been working on for over 2 years, 2.5 years, and have been planning and presenting and sharing information on it over those 2 years. This block schedule came out of a couple of needs. One of which is, as we continue to learn more about how people learn, and in particular how adolescents learn, we know that there needs to be opportunities for collaboration and inquiry, problem solving, reflection, goal setting, and the time to do that within the areas of study that kids are engaging with. In our 40-minute bell schedule, which we've had previously, quite often that just wasn't enough time. And in particular math, we needed more time in math. The elementary buildings have 75-minute blocks of time for math. They go to LT or the high school and they have more time for math. And so, we wanted to provide those opportunities, and I think we've developed a really outstanding block schedule for our kids that is really going to be able to encourage that ability to provide kids the time to really think deeply, to work together, to problem solve, to use more inquiry-based types of experiences for them that we know will help them learn, retain, and apply what they're learning so much better. So we will be moving to a block schedule. Those classes will be 75 minutes each. We're going to have what are known as gold and blue days. So each of those gold and blue days, kids will have ELA and math every day. And then all the other classes will rotate every other day. And I'll show you a sample schedule in a minute of what that will look like. Our lunch will remain at 30 minutes. We have 3 minutes to get from class to class. And I know everybody's always nervous. Is that enough time? It's plenty of time. And I told the kids when we talked a few weeks ago that, everybody at the beginning of the year will support you and understand that it's new. It's a new place, new classes, new teachers, new routines. We've got to figure it out. And 3 minutes is plenty of time to get from place to place, room to room. And, they will settle in very quickly to that routine and that procedure of kind of transitioning from class to class. We are introducing in that block schedule something called flex time, which will be a 75-minute block of time split into two 35-minute timeframes that'll be used for a variety of different things, which will include reteaching opportunities, interventions, both for students who may need some additional support in an area or a skill, as well as extension and enrichment. And we are really excited about the opportunity to be able to provide kids with those supports each week, every other day during that flex time that we'll be starting with next year. Seventh graders always want to know, where do we come in the building? And, is it our entrance or is it kids both in 7th and 8th grade? And at the beginning of the day, we basically have two main entrances. One is for 8th graders, one for 7th graders. So they're around their own grade level, particularly at the beginning of the year. I think a lot of 7th graders appreciate that. And their entrance is the main entrance to Gurrie, right by the main office. So that will be there. We talked with the kids about there are buses. Some of them will be taking the bus for the first time. So, they'll need to possibly be up a little earlier than they've been used to. Take the bus to school. And there is an after school bus after the normal routes leave at 4 o'clock that can take students home if they're involved in a club or activity or something else. Now, if they're involved in a sport or something that goes past 4 o'clock, they have to arrange for a ride home. But for everybody else, there is a 4 o'clock bus that will get all our students home after that activity. And finally, I shared with them, and I'll share with you as well, and we all know this, that being at school regularly and on time makes all the difference in the world, just like it does for any of us in our jobs, careers, professions. Being at school regularly helps establish good routines and patterns and structure, and just helps students do better and feel better about what they're doing here at school. And so just a note to, let's begin the year next year with a real focus, as we do each year, that, students will be here regularly. Of course, everyone gets sick. Of course, things come up in life that may prevent us from being at school, but as much as possible, kind of sticking with that focus on really positive attendance and getting to school on time is such a key ingredient to success, both in middle school, then in high school, and of course, as we all know, in our lives as well. This is a copy or just an example of what a student schedule could look like. This doesn't mean it will be your student schedule, but this will give you an idea of the block schedule, those gold and blue days. So you'll notice that on the gold day, day one, we have this student going to science. They start their day in science with Mrs. Nova at 8:15. Then they would be in there for 75 minutes. Then we'd have a passing period. They'd head to English language arts with Mr. Ingerson, and they'd be in there for a 75-minute block. Then to Spanish with Mrs. Rupert. Then after Spanish, this 7th grade student would go to lunch. Then after lunch, head to math. And then on that gold day, we'd end the day in those two flex 35-minute class periods, which will be based on student needs. And that's why we kind of like to think of it as a flexible time frame, because it will be very flexible to meet the needs of our students where they're at that current time. And then they end their day. On the blue day, the next day, day two, the student would start the day in PE, and then notice they have that ELA class again, because remember they have ELA and math every day. Then on to social studies, lunch, there's that math every day with Mrs. Needley, and then end their day with our exploratory class. So, basically 5 periods during the day, each of them at 75 minutes, lunch is 30, 3-minute passing periods, And then the next day we just go back to that goal day and kind of continue to cycle through those scheduled days. Always get a lot of questions about what the middle school and what's the difference between, say, that and a junior high. You know, we have schools around us that are called junior highs. We have some that are called middle schools. We're called a middle school. And I always like to clarify for you as parents some of those differences and characteristics that really are important. And it is a very big difference philosophically between, you know, a traditional junior high model and a middle school model. So what is a middle school? What does it mean? And how is it different? Well, the first thing is remember that kids that are in middle school are in a very interesting developmental stage in their life. They're going to grow faster, other than probably birth to about 3 years old, than they will at any other time in their life. And they're not just growing physically, they're growing intellectually, social, emotionally, and they are growing in so many different ways. And this all kind of comes together in this perfect storm around middle school. And, you know, students are needing things that they didn't need before, but also need things that are different than what high school students need. And a junior high was designed to be exactly what it's named, a junior high school, to kind of fit kids into what we expect high schoolers to do when they're not necessarily developmentally ready to do that. And a middle school really focuses on understanding where middle schools are at developmentally, and then supporting them and addressing those needs within the context of the school itself. So again, it's a dramatic time of growth and development, and we want to provide that environment for success based on where they're at in their developmental stage. And of course, in middle school, kids are all over the place. You know, physically, they're all over the place in terms of size and height and so on, developmentally, intellectually, social, emotionally. So we have to be very aware and cognizant of that and provide an environment where kids can find success during this very unique and dramatic period in their life. And things that help with that are relationships. We have to get to know our kids, and we have to make sure that there are people in this building that connect with them, understand them, and are there for them and can support them. And so, you know, we will focus tremendously on relationships over the 2 years here at Gurrie, making sure that not only do kids have positive relationships with their peers, but also with the adults in the building, and can go to them for support and help, and just as someone that can be an advocate for them as well. And I always like to share this quote from James Comer: no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. And that's really, you know, go back to those values that we talked about. That's really kind of the backbone of what we want to focus on here at Gurrie, because we know if we have great relationships with kids, then we can, you know, continue to push and stretch them and provide an environment where they feel comfortable taking risks and trying new things and stretching themselves, where they may not be so willing to do that in a place without positive relationships, in a place that's safe and secure and supportive. So again, middle school, focused on relationships, focused on student-centered activities and approaches, as much as possible, heterogeneous groupings. Another key ingredient of a middle school are teams. We have 2 grade level teams, 7th grade and 8th grade. They meet regularly throughout the week. They're a point of communication. They meet regularly to talk about kids, curriculum, what's working, what's not working. In a traditional junior high model, there really aren't those teams, and teachers tend to work in a little more isolated environment. So in a team environment in a middle school, you know, those teachers are getting together regularly and talking about kids, for example. So if I am a 7th grader and I'm struggling in several of my classes, those teachers are going to talk together about how I am struggling and what might be working and what's not working. And then all get on the same page to make sure we're doing the same things to help me find success. Whereas maybe in a junior high model, you may have teachers doing things a little more independently and not connecting as much and communicating as well, and therefore trying different things, which is inconsistent and really could be problematic for a student when every place they go to, every classroom may have a different approach to helping that student find success. So the teams really help in helping support kids and communicating regularly. It helps with coordinated efforts, so we're not overwhelming students with homework, tests, projects, because we're communicating regularly. And the team is just, again, a great tool that's so useful in helping address the needs of middle schoolers. Another key component of a middle school that often isn't found in the junior high is advisory. And these are, we will meet an advisory. There's 2 advisors for each one, each advisory. And these would be considered kind of advocates for each child. So these are teachers who may or may not have the kids that are in their advisory in a classroom. It's not a traditional class. It's designed more to talk about social emotional kinds of issues, affective learning, topics that are important to students, and ultimately for those adults to be an advocate for each child. And we love having the 2 because, you know, you may connect more with one person or another, and it provides a little option for students as well to connect based on that teacher or that advisor. So it really is a focus, again, going back to that relationship piece, that connection, understanding middle schoolers and their developmental stage, and making sure that they have an environment and a place where they can connect with an adult, a go-to person here at Gurrie that they can rely on. It also is a great place for you if you have overall questions about school, or overall maybe, you know, you're seeing some things that are concerning to you, or maybe your child doesn't seem to be excelling the way you think they should, or just coming home not feeling good about things. The advisors are a great place to start. Now, of course, if you have an individual question about math or ELA or science, you know, we would want you to reach out to that particular teacher. But for those bigger issues and just questions in general, advisors are great contacts for you as a parent, as a family. And then, of course, again, they talk regularly about curriculum and both core and exploratory, and it really provides an opportunity to talk together and integrate experiences and so on for kids. So, you know, some pretty big differences between a middle school and a junior high, and we really follow that philosophy, which is based in something called This We Believe, which is kind of the middle school philosophy, which includes 16 characteristics of the kinds of things that you should find within a middle school that's responsive to middle school age kids. And you can kind of take a look, and, you know, the way we focus on curriculum instruction and assessment, culture and community, leadership and organization, and making sure that we are constantly thinking about how we can get better and support middle schoolers within the middle school environment. We have a great staff. These are just some of our 7th grade staff members. The kids, you know, build great relationships with these educators. And, you know, whether you're a classroom teacher or you're one of our amazing buildings and grounds crew, or our front office administrative assistants, you know, our lunchroom staff, anyone in the building, they're here for kids and here here to ensure that they have the best experience possible here at Gurrie. We value communication. I've run through some of these things already with you, but again, you know, how are we going to communicate with you? You know, middle schoolers don't always come home and share as much as maybe they did when they were in, you know, primary or elementary school. You know, middle schoolers, again, developmentally are looking to you know, establish some independence. They're looking to peer groups, other adults, as well as they continue to kind of try to figure out who they are. And so, you know, again, we want to make sure that we're communicating with you as much so you have good information, and make sure you have what you need. So again, those advisors, you'll be getting phone calls, notes, good news postcards. We just don't call home if there's an issue or a concern. We like to communicate the positives as well. Email. The team leaders may be points of contact for you. We communicate each month in our newsletter called Tiger Tracks, which is posted online. Our website is up to date. Power School, you will be able to access your child's grades on a daily basis if you'd like. My recommendation for checking Power School is to pick a time each week to do that, whether that's, you know, on the weekend or at the beginning of the week, and even sit down with your student and kind of run through each of the classes and how are you doing, and, you know, asking questions about both strengths that you're seeing, and also maybe some challenges or concerns, and talk to your child, and then gradually maybe release as the year goes on, as they develop more independence around managing their academic performance. Again, I will say that I always believe that middle school is a great opportunity as you prepare for high school to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes, and better to make some of those mistakes or have some of those challenges now rather than when they get into high school and you have an ongoing GPA and those kinds of things that sometimes can be affected pretty dramatically if you have a bad year or a bad semester. And so, again, we want to focus on that growth. We want to focus on sticking with it. We want to focus on understanding that we can always improve, and how do we reflect on what we've done and set goals for future success. And so again, the grades in Power School, using that as one of those components, a weekly check-in or bi-weekly, just to kind of see how things are going. Your student knows that you're interested, that you're connected, that you're making sure that they're staying on top of things, but they're also a part of that conversation. Can be really a powerful thing for you and your child. And of course, with the last year and a half, of course, I think most of you have gotten familiar with Google Classroom. We'll continue that this year. That'll be a great reference point for you as well. We send a weekly email home each week. Please, if you do not have an email in our registration packet that you check regularly, please call the office and update it to an email that you do. We don't try to bombard you with 100 emails a week, but it is a very important means of communication, and it's the main way we send information home now. So please make sure you have an email that you check regularly and that you'll see, because at least once a week, we'll send home a weekly email with information about upcoming events and resources and things like that. Students will get a student planner, a hard copy, and in that is the student handbook, student parent handbook, as well as a tool that we're going to really focus on teaching them to use throughout the year to stay organized and on top of things. I think all of us use planners and some kind of organizational tool to keep our lives together. And they're no different coming into a school now with 7 different teachers, different class periods, different subjects. As we get them ready for high school, that skill is going to be so important to kind of help them stay on top of things. We have, of course, our traditional parent-teacher conferences twice a year. Also know that you can call and request a meeting by phone, in person. We'll still probably be able to Zoom if we have to. And of course, the unit communication. You've gotten used to that in the elementary buildings, where each unit, we begin with some assessments to kind of identify and see where kids are at. And then, of course, throughout the unit, and then the post-assessment and the communication that goes with that. So you'll continue to see that here at the middle school. Of course, midterms, trimester progress reports will be mailed home as well. So I'm going to go back to that team real quick. We've talked about most of this, but again, remember, they meet daily and regularly to implement curriculum, meet the needs of kids, coordinate tests, assignments, projects, and really collaborate academically. And again, talk about kids and coordinate efforts and streamline them to make sure that we're doing the best we can and consistently applying what things are working with that student to ensure success. We talked a little bit about advisory already. Again, it's an adult advocate for every kid. It's a great point of communication and so on. Some activities that we do within advisory that I don't think we touched on yet are, we'll talk a little bit about PBIS. There are some activities, particularly at the beginning of the year, some team building activities that are great. We have Thanksgiving feast each year that we're hoping we can get back to next year. That's organized through our advisories, and they celebrate our Gurrie family and community. We work on decision-making in 8th grade. Advisories will work to plan an outdoor education trip. We coordinate service projects through advisories. And it's just, again, a place for kids to connect with each other, with adults, and develop some of those study and organizational skills. Our curriculum is going to follow the same format that you've seen in the elementary buildings, and that is, we're going to have social studies, science, language arts and reading, and math. And then we also have, and this is really important, middle school, we're going to have PE, Students do dress for PE. We will hopefully go back to dressing for PE. Talked to the kids about that a few weeks ago. We'll be wearing uniforms and so on. World language, we've asked you to indicate which of the languages your student is interested in, either Spanish or French. I believe you've turned those in. If you haven't, please do so as soon as possible as we're beginning to schedule. And then our exploratory curriculum, another real key component to a middle school versus a traditional junior high model, our exploratory classes. And these are classes that are designed with the idea, again, of where kids are at developmentally to help them explore some things that maybe they haven't had, any kind of access to in the past, and that they may develop real interests, not only in middle school, but in high school and maybe in life and even careers or professions. So we have exploratory curriculum, which is STEM, visual arts, performing arts, STEAM, which is something that's offered in 8th grade, I'll talk about in a second, and then health. So another thing that we asked you to talk with your child about was exploratory choices. And these are 9 weeks. There's 4 in the year. We include in these courses growth mindset component, which really focuses in on kids acquiring some of those traits to, again, go back to what we had talked about previously, developing goals, being focused on perseverance and stick-to-itiveness, understanding that your brain is a very flexible muscle, and it grows and changes and develops over time, and it's never done growing, it's never done changing, and you can always improve, you can always get better, regardless of the setback you may have had or the trouble you may have had with a subject. And so, throughout the year, we'll be talking a lot about that, not only in our classes, but also in exploratory. And then a health class, students will take a quarter of health in each school year. And the health class is really focused on decisions and decision making and choices. And the foundation of that class is that, because we know that if we can develop some good skills around decision making and making positive choices, that then applies to all aspects of their lives and applies to anything that they may be confronted with where they have to make a choice or a decision that could have a significant impact on them or their family. So the 4 exploratory choices, as I think you've read in the packets that were given to you, are performing arts, and you can see the choices for classes listed there. And again, I asked the students and you to work together to rank your top choices all the way down to your least interest. And then I guarantee that I'll give you at least one of your top choice and then as many 1s and 2s as possible. And we like to give the kids choices. We want to give them some options and flexibility, particularly in the exploratory pieces. Visual arts, STEM, again, STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. They've got some great opportunities to investigate these areas. And then, and then again, indicate what are their top preferences. And so they do that for each one of those 3: STEM, visual arts, and performing arts. And then we will schedule them in as much as guaranteed one of their top choices. And then after that, as many of their top or second choices as possible. And if they don't get the class they want 7th grade year, they will have an opportunity to try it again in 8th grade. And usually we'll get that class if they don't get it 7th grade. Homework and classroom expectations, just real quickly. There will be homework. I would expect on average 40 minutes to an hour a night. Some kids are more efficient at that than others. Our homework is not new learning. It should be practice of skills that they've learned. And, just like if you play a musical instrument, you have to go home and practice. If you play a sport, you go home after practice oftentimes, or a game, and you work on your free throws or your shots or whatever it might be. And so, homework is an important component in our curriculum. We also don't try to overload kids or give homework for homework's sake, but it is something that is used for practice and to reinforce and build on those skills that they've learned about within the classroom instruction that they've received, and do that at home. Again, some nights may be a little bit more, some nights a little less. Some may be reading a novel that they're reading, or a short story, or something like that. So again, you should be seeing homework, on occasion. Again, it's not designed to overload anybody. If you're not seeing anything or very minimal, again, I would reach out to the classroom teacher and just inquire about, any kind of homework or expectations around that. We talked about the student planner. Our website, again, is a great place to go for information. And it will also have a space for your students to connect, and for you to connect to the teacher's Google Classroom. We have a variety of academic supports here at Gurrie. We have, obviously, the kids are bringing the Chromebooks that they have from 6th grade. We've been doing that now for close to 6 years. We've had the Chromebook, so they've become an integral part of what we do. And of course, over the last year and a half, they were really important and valuable. We have before and after school help. Oftentimes teachers will be available. Not always, and every teacher's circumstances are different, but again, oftentimes they are available there. We have the multi-purpose academic support time, the flex block that we talked about. We have homework lab, as I believe your elementary 6th grade buildings had as well. Basically, if you don't get that homework done, we don't want you to fall behind. We want to make sure you complete it in a timely fashion. So we'll ask the student to stay that night, complete it, turn it in for credit, and then, we move forward from there. The library is also open every day after school until 4 o'clock. We call that our ACES Center. And it's a place where any student can go work on homework, work together on a group project, maybe just go and hang out and quietly enjoy, working together with someone, or playing a game or something like that. That's available. Lots of kids go every day after school and get their homework done, so they don't have to worry about it at night when they get home. Talked about the flex block, our website, Google Classroom, and then for some students, we have both a math and reading intervention that's available for them if they need some additional support. Our special services and supports staff are amazing. We have amazing special education staff, resource teachers, our EL program. We have tremendous social workers here, and who provide great support for kids, for families, and are really committed to making sure they support the students where they're at developmentally, what they need, and can also help families connect with services and supports. And we are so fortunate to have a school nurse here every day. And of course, the last year and a half, we were really fortunate with that. But, it's something that definitely we are very fortunate to have. And every person at Gurrie is, we like to call ourselves go-to people. We want to be someone that kids can go to for a question, a support. Of course, classroom teachers with curriculum questions can, of course, go to the math teacher, the English teacher, the science teacher, and so on. But, we also want kids to know that we're here for them for anything. And so we always ask kids to identify go-to people, who they are, and just kind of reinforce that notion that we are here to support them. And we have a speak up line like we have at the elementary buildings for, in the very rare circumstance where maybe a student isn't comfortable coming forward or reporting something, they can use the voicemail or the email to do that. That's very rarely used here at Gurrie. And if it is, it's obviously a very serious thing. But because our kids know that there's adults here that can help them out. And maybe it's not them, maybe it's a friend that they're worried about, or a situation that they're concerned with. And an anonymous report can really help us identify where an issue may be and address it in a positive way, and move forward from that. So again, great supports here for kids all around throughout the building. We also like to follow what is known as PBIS, or positive behavioral intervention supports. And it's a philosophy that basically says we need to teach kids what the appropriate behaviors are here at Gurrie, just like we teach academic subjects. So at the beginning of the year, we will explicitly show kids what it's like to be ready, respectful, and safe. We will go through each area of the building. For example, what does it look like to be respectful on the bus, safe on the stairwell, in the stairwell, ready in the classroom, and so on. And we want to make sure everybody's on the same page. We do it in a positive way. We do it in clear student language. And then as the year goes on, we continue to reinforce that, collect data around student referrals and areas that there may be some issues that we want to address. We'll go back and reteach those. Maybe we're having some issues in the hallways. We'll need to take a few minutes to reteach the kids what it looks like to be safe and respectful in the hallways, reinforce those things with positive acknowledgments. And again, anytime we see a kid being ready, respectful, and safe, we're going to acknowledge that behavior and definitely reinforce it with them. Student activities, we have lots of activities here for our building. Our philosophy and belief is that we want to try as much as possible to find some way to connect every kid beyond the school day. Every kid's different, every interest is a little different, and we want to make sure that we find a way that can connect kids to each other, the interests that they have, to make their experience here at Gurrie better. We know through research that typically kids that are involved in an activity, sport, club, fine arts, they typically do at least a grade point higher than those who are not. And the reason for that is they're building relationships. They are having to manage their time more efficiently because they're a little busier. They are making connections and learning and feeling better about being connected to Gurrie and the middle school. So please encourage your students to get connected, to become more than just an 815 to 315 student. Get involved in an activity or even more than one. And I asked the kids to promise me when I met with them a few weeks ago, promise me that you'll get involved beyond the school day and that you will get connected and your experience at Gurrie will become an even better one. And then of course we have just some pictures of some activities, a variety of different things between whether it's service learning or our fine arts or sports or other clubs and activities, just some great opportunities for all of us to get connected and make a difference in everything that we do. Athletics, we talked with the kids about this a couple of weeks ago. We have cut sports and non-cut. The non-cut basically, again, refers to the notion that if you come out for the team, you're on the team, but you're still expected to go to practices and all the games or meets or competitions. But, it's a non-cut. And we start the year with cross country, wrestling's in the middle of the year, and then soccer at the end. And then our cut sports are on the left. And these, of course, will hold tryouts, and then students will, be selected for the teams in those cut sports. So, again, we offer, not only a lot of activities and clubs, fine arts opportunities, we also have a pretty robust, list of athletic opportunities as well. Parents always say, how can I get involved? And I will tell you that while many middle schoolers may demonstrate a desire to kind of be more independent and maybe, not want us as parents around as much as they had previously, middle school kids need you as much as they ever did, and maybe even more so even when they were infants or little kids, toddlers, pre-K, early elementary. It's just a different kind of feel than what you may have experienced when they were very little. And they still need you as much. They need you to be connected to what you're doing, ask questions about their day, be available as soon as you can when they get home from school, get involved in activities that they're involved in, come to the games, get involved with our PTO, come to the dances, the fun nights, some of the other activities that we do, get to know other parents, get to know their friends. My kids always really, really loved, and of course I'm being a little sarcastic here, when I would go up and introduce myself to their friends' parents or say hello, or, when I was dropping them off at a house, in middle school, I'd kind of walk up and just say, hey, I'm Leah's dad, and just getting to know them. Again, stay connected. Don't feel like you have to back away or just not get as involved as you used to. It just looks a little different, but they need you. And they need to know that you're there, even though they may not always show it. And they need to know that you're available and still connected and there for them, because they will go through some ups and downs over the next couple of years. And they need you now as much as they ever did. So one of the great ways to get connected to the building and other parents and either activities is through our PTO. Kristen McCracken is our PTO president for this upcoming year. We're really excited to have her take on the PTO presidency. The website for the PTO is here on our d105.net/Gurrie. Go to that under the parent tab. The drop-down menu will say parent teacher organization. Go to that. Lots of great opportunities to get involved in activities and clubs and just support the school, the community, our families, our kids, our staff, and always appreciate any involvement that you can do. And the great thing about it is there's varying levels. I mean, there's some things you can do one time, there's things you can do throughout the year. You can choose your level of involvement based on your situation. But get involved. Just like I asked the kids to get involved, I really want you to get involved in the middle school experience in whatever way that you can. Please send me any questions either through the email that's listed here or call the office, and we can set up a time to talk, and would love to answer any questions that you have. As we go through the summer, you'll be getting more information regarding the upcoming school year and so on, but I definitely wanted you to have this piece of information, and this actually quite a bit of information here over the last 40 minutes or so to just kind of answer any initial questions you may have about the upcoming transition. So with that, have a great summer. We again look forward to meeting you and getting to know your students, getting to know you and having you become part of the Gurrie family. So have a great summer. Please, again, call or email with any questions, and be on the lookout throughout the summer for information about the upcoming school year. Thanks for listening.